Hi guys, how are you all today morning? Good morning. Today is 18th July 2023. My name is TSV Raghavan and I live in Chennai, Tamil Nadu, India. This is my spiritual vlog on YouTube. Haribol TRSV Nectar NECTAR Nectar. In this particular vlog, in all my previous videos, we have been discussing about the knowledge and information that we have gleaned through the study of spiritual books, scriptures, contemplation on the material universe, and meditation on the spiritual universe. This particular video in the vlog is no exception to that rule. It is a mere continuation of what we have been doing in all my previous videos. Kindly subscribe to this vlog and press the bell icon so that I may keep reminding you of all my previous videos and future videos. So let us talk about the topic for today's video. We all know that we are actually analyzing the psyche of every human living entity and the factors that influence that particular psyche and make a complete human being, including his or her cerebral faculties. These factors include the karma of that particular person. Karma means prarabdha karma or the slice of a particular living entity's sanchit karma that he or she has brought with him or her since birth to be worked out in a particular lifetime. This karma, along with his or her free will kriyamana karma, are two factors which influence the psyche of that particular human living entity. Besides this, the capacity of that person's brain to catch vibrations from his or her three subtle bodies, that is, etheric senses, astral mind of feelings and emotions, and causal body of intelligence, the tuning of those vibrations by the brain, coming out with the necessary juice and transmitting it or downloading it into the rest of the body. This is another factor. Plus, the third factor is the individual false ego of that particular living entity. These three form the major part of ingredients that help in building up the psyche of a living human entity in a particular birth. In that process, while discussing about and analyzing about the psyche of a human, a living entity. We talked about various case histories which would have probably explained to us how and why a particular human living entity reacts in a particular circumstance. Today we shall talk in detail about another such case history which will throw a new light into the psyche of a human living entity and life in general in this material world in the society. So let us continue. There is a township called Velvittidurai in the province of Jaffna in northern Sri Lanka. While the northern part of Sri Lanka and the eastern parts are populated by Tamil speaking people majorly, the rest of Sri Lanka is populated by a Sinhalese majority. In other words, mainly two communities inhabit this country of Sri Lanka. However, the Sinhalese speaking Buddhist community is in majority and so it is a part of the ruling government. There has been a continuous strife between the Tamils and the Sinhalese. From the mid 75 of the 20th century, that is from 1974 or 75, this struggle between Tamils and Sinhalese escalated, as a result of which there was a bloody war of independence that lasted some 30 years in Sri Lanka. During this time, one boy called Velu Pillai Prabhakaran slowly sprang up as a leader of the militant group. This militant group was called TNT, that is Tamil New Tigers, but later it was renamed as LTTE, Liberation Tigers of Tamil Eelam. Prabhakaran became its leader, but at the same time he had very capable and able-bodied right and left-hand guys who helped him run this LTT successfully for almost 30 years. This particular TNT, also known as LTT, was formed by some few very capable militant individuals from none other place than this Velvittidurai, which is the capital of Jaffna Peninsula. In other words, lots of very capable guys joined together to form this very successful militant group. Not only could they form this group, but they could also influence directly or indirectly other able and capable guys to either join LTT or support LTT. These other guys who probably were not fond of LTT had to toe the line because of fear of violence and death. One of such guys, about whose case history we are going to talk in this particular story, was called Saravanan, also known as Murugan. This Murugan was a brilliant student. He was academically inclined. He graduated from Jaffna and went to Europe for further studies. He was an engineering student who completed either his chemical engineering or his electronic engineering, but he was also interested in the other faculty. That is, if he was a chemical engineer, he was interested in electronics also, or if he was an electronic engineer, he was interested in chemical industry also. Anyway, this particular Murugan was a multifaceted personality. However, disgusted and visibly scared with returning to Jaffna, this guy settled in a job in Germany where he started working and raising a family also. However, this guy was forced to keep touch with his own family in Jaffna, and LTT knew about it very well. LTT's like Prabhakaran, one very capable and intelligent associate, was a person called Pottu Amman. This Pottu Amman was the head of the assassination wing of Liberation Tigers of Tamil Eelam. This guy continued to keep tabs on Murugan, who was now settled in Germany. Murugan was quite well settled and was leading a a comfortable and peaceful life. At that time, in the late 80s of the 20th century, LTT got into a fight or a quarrel or war with IPKF of India. Murugan was aware of the proceedings, but he was not at all interested in that. However, this time, during this period, something happened as a result of which Velu Pillai Prabhakaran, the supremo of LTT, ordered or suggested to the head of assassination wing, Pottu Amman, that he should get in touch with Murugan immediately. Murugan was going about his very comfortable and peaceful life in Germany when one day he was contacted by the local representative of Pottu Amman in Germany. Murugan got very scared. This guy, in no uncertain terms, asked Murugan to get in touch with Pottu Amman as soon as possible. Murugan did not know why or what was the real purpose behind this particular unpleasant event or development. However, due to necessity, he got in touch with Pottu Amman. Pottu Amman asked him to come to Jaffna and report to the headquarters of LTT immediately. Murugan had no other go but to accept this particular order. He took a flight and came back to Jaffna after a very long time. Here, Puttu Amman told him, I know that you are a chemical or electronics engineer and you are also interested in chemical or electronic engineering. In other words, you are a two in one. Because of this, I want you to get down to work and find out how to make human bombs. Bombs that will be tied around a human being, and this particular human being can be used as a suicide bomber for a particular mission. Till this time, or little before this, whatever was happening to Murugan and his life was his prarabdha karma. This prarabdha karma directly influenced his birth in Jaffna, his education, his schooling, graduation, and qualification, and his becoming a successful engineer. Further, it helped him get a good job in Europe and settle down in Europe comfortably. Everything was hunky dory for Murugan till then. His own prarabdha karma, that is, a slice of his karma from his old storage of sanchit karma, was working perfectly and beautifully. This guy was leading a comfortable life, and this prarabdha karma went to the climax when he was asked by the German representative of LTT to go back to Jaffna and contact the LTT authorities there. Till then, his prarabdha karma was working perfectly. But alas, from then on, his kriyamana karma from free will slowly began creeping in. This prarabdha karma was slowly but steadily introducing him to his own free will and kriyamana karma. For all you know, if this Sarvana alas Murugan had wanted, he could have easily gone AWOL in Europe and vanished to some unknown place there and then. But something in his free will asked him or goaded him to get in touch with liberation tigers of Tamil Elam. Even here, we may say that his prarabdha karma was playing a major role. It was a fact that Murugan was an expert in two engineering fields, that is, chemical engineering and electronics engineering. He got down to work and began learning how to make a human suicide bomb that could be attached to a human being. This was easy for Murugan. This guy was relocated to Madras, which is now Chennai in India. Here, this guy began working on that particular bomb. Because of his expertise in these two fields of engineering, he could make a bomb which could be fixed or embedded into a belt. This belt was given to the actual suicide bomber Dhanu. This Dhanu ultimately committed a very heinous crime when she assassinated the then Prime Minister elect for India, Mr. Rajiv Gandhi. This Dhanu and the liberation tigers of Tamil Eelam could not have done this without the help of Murugan, who had used his free will to construct or create this particular human bomb. This was certainly not Murugan's prarabdha karma. It was his free will and kriyamana karma. There were several opportunities for Murugan to escape doing this dastardly act, but he chose to be with liberation tigers of Tamil Eelam and construct this particular bomb. The Prarabdha karma of Murugan was asked to take a back seat, and the Kriyamana karma took over his life completely, and that included his psyche in constructing this particular bomb. Here we come to know that there is but a step from the sublime to the ridiculous. A very promising, intelligent, and qualified engineer of a young man who could have done wonders in the legitimate life in society ultimately was forced to become a guy who created a human bomb that was used to assassinate a very important person, and in that process, around 20 were dead and others were injured because of that particular bomb's impact on the crowd in a place called Sri Peramadur in Chennai, Tamil Nadu, India. This shows to us how karma works in the life of a particular human being. It is quite possible that Murugan did not like all this himself personally, and his own conscience asked him to escape this situation, but something goaded him and made him use his free will in a destructive way. This shows how the karma of a particular human being works. Now we will talk about the three subtle bodies of the living entity called Murugan. This guy was highly intelligent, erudite, and qualified. That shows that his vibrations from his causal body were in full bloom. But alas, his vibrations from his astral body of mind, feelings, and emotions was also equally active. In other words, Murugan belonged to the 25% of humanity who listen to vibrations from astral mind of feelings and emotions and causal mind of cold logic. His cold logic made him succeed in life, but his astral mind of feelings and emotion, which was decidedly a come down, made him listen to liberation tigers of Tamil Nadu. Why? Because entity was in his own blood and his own family to which he was emotionally attached was still in Jaffna. Probably this guy was earnestly devoted to a life in the struggle of Tamil freedom in Sri Lanka. Whatever it was, this guy used his causal intelligence positively during his prarabdha karma and began using his astral mind of feelings and emotions during his kriyamana karma. This assassination happened and then probably it touched his conscience. This guy felt guilty about what he had done to make this assassination a success. So he got arrested, convicted, sentenced to death, and later on his sentence was changed to life imprisonment in the Vellore prison of India. This guy was probably a very nice person. You may laugh at what I'm saying, but you will understand what I mean when I said this. Though this guy was forced to make a bomb, he was not decidedly evil personally. It was a cut and dried job officially for Murugan. This guy did not protest one bit when he was sentenced to life imprisonment in Vellore, India. This was also a part of his Kriyamana karma. His own feelings and emotions gave him a kick of conscience, and this guy accepted the sentence and became a peaceful inmate. So much so that even the Indian policemen respected this guy for his decency. Now, this Kriyamana karma of Murugan took a new turn. He became an ISKCON devotee and a Lord Krishna's devotee, and such ardent a devotee that he became dressing like an ardent devotee of Lord Krishna and grew a beard and mustache. He remained worshipping Lord Krishna as a devout Hindu in his own presence. This he continued for another 30 years or so. Ultimately, the government had to grudgingly accept that this guy had very noble and peaceful intentions. So they decided to give him a parole after some 30 odd years in prison. This shows how our prarabdha karma, our kriyamana karma, and vibrations from our own etheric senses, astral mind, and causal intelligence work together to bring out a complete sight of every human living entity, including us. As they say, it is never too late to mend. Probably Murugan, being a very intelligent person, realized his mistake, blunder, crime, and sin, and so he turned over to a new leaf. Now his karma includes not only his violent act, but it also includes a large part of his devotion for Lord Krishna. Probably a lot of his devotional activities may have caused some karma which will be worked out in this lifetime, but certainly there will be some unworked karma in this particular devotional life for Murugan when he ultimately passes on. Though he committed a heinous crime, he worked out his negative karma in this birth itself, so it will not be a part of his agami karma in this birth. And whatever devotional and positive karma remains unworked in his kriyamana karma will be added to his sanchit karma, and then next birth when he selects another prarabdha karma, it will have only devotional unworked karma with him, and probably it will make him a very nice person, at least better than what he was born as in this particular birth. We must all take a leaf from the autobiography or the biography of this person called Murugan. We should always try to use our free will to do positive or devotional acts so that if something unworked remains at the end when we pass on, it will be added to our sanchit karma and help us take a kriyaman karma for our next birth, which will be better than what it is in this particular birth. Our main aim is to seek self realization, then liberation from this endless cycle of birth and death, and then get delivered to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That is all for today's story in this particular video. Kindly let me know what you think of my talk on this particular story and subject. Please give me your own expert opinion, thoughts, views, and ideas so that I may blend everything together for the sake of this society. Before concluding, let me remind you that I am also a published author with Amazon Kindle and paperback. I write on spiritualism, fiction, and assorted subjects. Spiritualism happens to be my favorite subject. Till we meet in my next video, it is good morning from TSV Raghavan.